The atmosphere surrounding the Golden State Warriors, which for years was synonymous with stability and glory, now feels more like a minefield. The case involving Jonathan Kuminga, one of the most promising pieces of the roster, has stopped being just a contractual dilemma and has turned into a true soap opera filled with tension, hesitation, and clear signs of rupture. What once could have been treated as a misunderstanding is slowly crystallizing into a certainty. Kuminga no longer wants to be there, and for the fans, the news landed like a blow that still reverberates. At first, when the initial reports emerged about Kuminga refusing to sign a 3-year extension worth $75 million, many believed the issue was purely bureaucratic. They talked about clauses, technical details, contractual options that could be adjusted. But as more reports surfaced, it became clear that the problem went far beyond paperwork. The knot wasn't in the money. The knot was in the will, in the identity, in the unanswered question that echoes, does Kuminga really want to remain a Warrior? The situation became even more symbolic when Joe Lacob, the franchise owner, decided to personally fly to Miami to meet with the player. He didn't send intermediaries, didn't rely on formal phone calls. He himself got on a plane to look Kuminga in the eye and ask bluntly if he wanted to stay. The forward silence in the face of that question was deafening. Instead of reaffirming his commitment, he threw the question back. Do you want me here? Lacob's positive reply was not enough to dissipate the shadow of doubt. And it is precisely in that hesitation that the truth is revealed. Kuminga is no longer emotionally connected to the Golden State project. This episode marked a paradigm shift. It is no longer about numbers or contracts, but about human relationships and a locker room that needs chemistry to survive. For Kuminga, staying may mean stagnation, while his career cries out for space, protagonism, and a new narrative. His focus doesn't seem to be on waiting for an opportunity within the same system, but rather on carving a path towards something different elsewhere. The desire for a sign and trade is no longer speculation, it is practically a veiled message to the front office. For management, this stance is a logistical nightmare. The Warriors are living a dilemma. Trade him quickly and extract some value, or run the risk of losing him for nothing in a few months if he accepts only the qualifying offer and leaves as a free agent next summer. Time is against them, and each day of indecision further erodes the little bargaining power they have left. The feeling is that the franchise was slow to react, even when the signs were already there. The meeting in Miami should have served as a maximum alert. Bob Myers' phone, or that of whoever occupies his position, should have been on fire. But the clock ticked, and today, the scenario is one of suspense and uncertainty. On the market, Kuminga's figure divides opinions. Some see him as a rough diamond on the verge of exploding into a future all-star. Others classify him as just another prospect who failed to adapt to the system. This duality directly impacts the type of offers the Warriors may receive. Unlike other valued young players, such as Josh Giddey, who found a market willing to pay big, Kuminga still carries the aura of what if, and that doubt can be fatal for any negotiation to truly advance. Among those interested, heavyweight names emerge such as the Miami Heat, Atlanta Hawks, Phoenix Suns, and even the Chicago Bulls. But interest doesn't always translate into concrete action. The Heat, for example, are known for not giving up flexibility. Pat Riley built his reputation by choosing the right battles, and he would hardly put the full weight of the roster on an uncertain gamble. Atlanta, on the other hand, seems like the most natural fit. A team aggressively looking to compete in the present, with Trae Young as a leader willing to share responsibilities, and that could use Kuminga's versatility to strengthen its offensive and defensive identity. There, he would have space to be more than a supporting player. The Bulls, immersed in their eternal indecision between rebuilding or trying to remain relevant, are a mystery. Bringing in Kuminga could be the beginning of a new cycle, but it could also turn into just another misused piece, as has happened with other talents in Chicago's recent past. The same goes for the Suns, who have interesting assets, but would hardly be enough on their own to meet Golden State's needs. It is at this point that speculation arises about trades involving multiple teams, where pieces fit together like in a more complex puzzle. Meanwhile, the narrative around the Warriors roster is increasingly critical. The dynasty that once seemed invincible is now a mosaic of disconnected pieces. The harmony that enabled almost perfect collective movements has been replaced by doubts and forced fits. And the lack of size, rebounding, and consistency only reinforces how far behind the team is compared to rivals who bet on size, versatility, and depth. What was once a trump card, the devastating small ball, no longer works as it did before. And Kuminga, even with his athletic explosion, never managed to be the definitive solution to that gap. Into this complex board comes a new piece that could change the entire equation: the unexpected rumor of Ren Abando's arrival. Amid the crisis, information began to emerge that Golden State had taken a bold step, almost like a lightning move, to bring in the Filipino. Known for his vibrant style, aggressive defense, and ability to ignite crowds with spectacular plays, Abando could be exactly the kind of novelty that rescues not only the team, but also the franchise's emotional bond with its fan base. What is most impressive is the speed with which this rumor gained strength. Insiders insist that the decision came almost out of nowhere, like a spark, a move that departs from the front office's calculating pattern and shows that, under pressure, the Warriors may be willing to take risks. For many, Abando would not just be a long-term project, but someone capable of contributing immediately, especially in a rotation that today lacks energy and identity. The Filipino fan base, already closely following the NBA, reacted with enthusiasm, and the San Francisco community quickly split between surprise and expectation. This possible reinforcement also carries broader implications. Golden State has always been a team attentive to its global brand, and the addition of Abando could open even more space in the Asian market, expanding the franchise's influence beyond the court. It's not just about basketball. It's about culture, reach, media impact. And this blend may be exactly what the franchise needs to reignite its flame. While there is no official confirmation, the rumor already fulfills its role, stirring the backstage, fueling the fans' imagination, and keeping the Warriors' name in the spotlight. For some, it is just smoke. For others, it is the first sign of a radical overhaul that is to come. The mere mention of Ren Abando in San Francisco has already changed the tone of conversations about the team. While the uncertainty surrounding Kuminga hangs like a heavy cloud, Abando's name appears as an unexpected ray of light. The franchise that has always thrived on boldness and creativity on the court may be seeking the same spirit off it, trying to surprise the world with an unconventional yet meaningful move. Modern NBA is not just built on statistics, it is built on narratives, and nothing would be more symbolic than uniting the Warriors' tradition with the vibrant promise of an emerging star from the Philippines. This rumor, contrary to what many believe, does not emerge solely as a marketing ploy. It is true that the Asian fan base would have an even greater reason to follow each game of the team, but the technical analysis also supports the possibility. Abando is known for his defensive ability, for diving into every possession as if it were the last, for sacrificing himself on the court to draw energy from the stands. And if there is anything Golden State needs right now, it is someone who injects intensity into a rotation that often looks apathetic. Picture the scene. Stephen Curry, at 37 years old, still shining as the orchestra's maestro, but needing partners willing to do the heavy lifting. Draymond Green, already a veteran, demanding that someone take part of the defensive load so he does not wear down beyond measure. And a bench lacking identity, in desperate need of a motor to make it work. Abando, with his electric style, could become the catalyst of that machine. It is not about spectacular numbers. It is about invisible impact, the kind that is measured in the silence of the crowd turning into an explosion at every unexpected play. But for this gamble to work, the Warriors must first resolve the Kuminga situation. It is impossible to build something solid when one of the central pieces of the puzzle no longer wants to be there. The risk of holding on to a dissatisfied player is enormous, both in the locker room and on the court. An atmosphere of mistrust is corrosive, and every gesture, every expression, starts being interpreted as a sign of disconnection. If Golden State wants to turn the page, it must act quickly, and Abando could be the first brick of a new construction, but only if the old structure is dismantled without fear. What makes the equation even more delicate is that rivals are aware of the urgency. Every rumor about Kuminga's dissatisfaction reduces the team's bargaining power. It is a predatory market, where other general managers take advantage of weaknesses to try to snatch bargains. The solution, therefore, cannot just be to trade. It must be to trade intelligently. Instead of rushing into a deal that brings minimal return, the Warriors must think in multiple scenarios, crafting 3 or 4 team agreements that maximize not just the present but the years ahead as well. In this sense, the Atlanta Hawks remain the most logical partner. Trae Young needs a demonstration of confidence from the franchise. Kuminga could offer exactly that: youth, energy, and the kind of versatility that has been lacking in the roster in recent seasons. In return, Golden State could acquire players who fit immediately, perhaps even assets that allow for gradual rebuilding. This is the move that balances urgency and future. But while the executives run calculations and discuss possibilities, the fans live in a different time frame, that of anxiety. Supporters do not measure patience in weeks but in games, and every rumor that appears on social media sparks a wave of emotion that can completely alter the perception of a team. The very idea of Abando landing in San Francisco has already driven thousands of Filipino fans to flood Warriors forums and pages, filling them with messages of support, speculation, and even pleas for the signing to be confirmed soon. That is cultural power, something no franchise can ignore. It is not the first time Golden State has flirted with unexpected moves. The dynasty's history was built on bets that at the time seemed risky. Drafting Curry, insisting on his talent despite injuries, believing that a style of play based on three-pointers could dominate the league, trusting Draymond Green as an essential piece of a revolutionary system. All these choices were seen as bold before turning into brilliance. Now, the team finds itself at another crossroads: repeat boldness or give in to complacency. The arrival of Abando, if confirmed, would not erase the structural problems of the roster, but it could become the symbol of a new cycle. A cycle in which Golden State stops trying to patch cracks and begins rebuilding with different blocks, less obvious, more creative. What matters is not just the individual quality of the player, but what he represents in terms of narrative, emotional impact, and connection with the global fan base. And in that regard, few names could generate as much excitement as Abando right now. Of course, doubt still lingers. Is he ready for the immediate leap to the NBA? Many analysts argue yes, precisely because his competitive mindset is what sets apart potential stars from temporary projects. Others, more skeptical, believe it would be too risky a move for a team still dreaming of competing for titles. But in the current chaotic scenario, perhaps it is exactly this calculated risk that Golden State needs to take. After all, what is lost in trying, and what is gained if it works? Meanwhile, Kuminga remains at the center of the storm. Every practice, every public appearance, every gesture is watched as if it were a clue to what will come. His silence continues to be interpreted as an answer. And the longer time passes, the more the fans understand it is not a temporary misunderstanding, but an inevitable separation. At some point, management will have to pull the trigger. The only question is, will they act early enough to extract value, or will they repeat the mistakes of other franchises that held on to dissatisfied players until they left for nothing? The storyline is worthy of a soap opera, but with very real consequences for the franchise's future. And in the middle of this whirlwind, the possibility of a fresh and vibrant name like Abando entering the equation adds an extra layer of drama and expectation. It is as if the old and the new meet on the same board, each move determining not just a season, but perhaps the destiny of an entire generation's last dance. The Warriors' dilemma right now runs deeper than a simple swap of pieces. It's about identity. For nearly a decade, the team was synonymous with innovation, with joy in playing, with collective basketball that seemed like poetry in motion. But that poetry has begun to unravel in recent years. replaced by hesitation, internal noise, and decisions that often sounded more like desperate attempts to preserve the past than firm steps toward the future. Kuminga's situation symbolizes exactly this crossroads. Insist on a talent who no longer wants to be there, or accept reality and begin writing a new chapter. This decision cannot be made based solely on numbers or contracts. It needs to take into account the spirit of the team, the atmosphere in the locker room, the ability of each player to embrace a project greater than themselves. And that's precisely where the contrast between Kuminga and the rumor of Ren Abando becomes so striking. On one side, a young player who once seemed destined to be central to the new generation, but who never found his place in the system and already dreams of new horizons. On the other, an emerging talent who carries with him hunger, energy, and the willingness to give himself body and soul to the opportunity. It's as if the two represent opposite extremes of the same narrative. The impact of Abando's possible arrival would not just be technical. His presence alone would generate a wave of enthusiasm capable of infecting the locker room. Filipino culture, marked by passion for basketball, would make him not just a player but a symbol. And the Warriors, always attentive to the power of stories, know that symbols move crowds. If confirmed, his signing could transform the team not only into a sporting powerhouse, but also into an unprecedented cultural bridge between continents. It is something that goes beyond the court, something that speaks of belonging and expansion. Meanwhile, the backstage continues to be fed by rumors about possible trade scenarios for Kuminga. The Hawks remain the most solid option, but there is talk that teams like the Bulls and Suns could enter into a three-team negotiation, sending rotation players who would bring immediate balance to the roster. The front office, pressured by time and the negative narrative, must act coldly. Every wrong move could cost not just the season, but the final competitive years of Stephen Curry, and wasting that legacy would be a historic mistake. Curry, in fact, is the silent, central piece of this entire equation. He doesn't speak publicly about dissatisfaction or internal pressure, but everyone knows his patience is not infinite. At 37, he needs a roster that truly works, not another season of failed experiments. If there's one lesson the front office should have learned in recent years, it's that you can't waste the final chapters of a legend's career. Every lost game, every wasted opportunity is a piece of history that could have been different. That's why the Warriors need to be bold now. They cannot afford to wait for things to resolve themselves. Today's NBA is fast, ruthless, and always moving. Teams that hesitate fall behind. Just look at teams like the Thunder and the Rockets, who in a short time reshaped their rosters and today already appear as emerging forces in the West. Golden State cannot cling only to the memory of the dynasty. It needs to create something new, adapted to the present, unafraid to take risks. Abando's fit in this context, therefore, would not just be a matter of basketball. It would be an affirmation that the franchise is ready to turn the page. He may not be the definitive solution, but he is a symbol of renewal. And often the right symbol is what's needed to reignite an extinguished flame. The fans, who had grown distrustful, would once again have reasons to dream. The locker room, which lived in doubt, would find a new reason to believe. And Curry, the beating heart of the team, would have around him players willing to sacrifice themselves for the collective. All this only reinforces the weight of the moment. The front office can no longer act as if it had infinite time. The weeks until training camp are slipping away, and every day of indecision further reduces their power to act. If Kuminga truly no longer has space in the heart of the project, holding on to him will only delay an inevitable change. The future of the franchise depends on the courage to cut ties and rebuild intelligently, even if it hurts. The curious thing is that amid all this turbulence, the rumors about Abando show that there is still room for hope. He is not a consolidated name, not a player arriving with star status. He is someone willing to fight, to prove himself, to conquer. And that is exactly what Golden State needs at this moment. Someone who genuinely wants to be there, not just for a contract, but out of conviction. This contrast between Kuminga's exit and Abando's possible arrival is the perfect reflection of the Warriors' dilemma. lose someone who no longer believes, or gain someone who believes too much. If the front office understands the message, it could turn a chaotic period into a turning point. If it hesitates, it risks falling into a spiral of mistakes that could cost not only victories, but also the identity of an era. The choice is before them, and time, relentless, has already begun to demand its toll. And so, between uncertainties and rumors, the future of the Golden State Warriors is being written before our eyes. The Jonathan Kuminga saga has not yet reached its final chapter, but everything indicates that separation is only a matter of time. Meanwhile, the flame of hope rises in the name of Ren Abando, a potential reinforcement who carries with him not only talent, but also the promise of renewal, energy, and global connection. The destiny of the franchise will depend on the front office's courage to make quick and intelligent decisions. You cannot hold on to someone who doesn't want to stay, nor can you waste the chance to build something new. Stephen Curry's legacy deserves an ending worthy of his greatness. And perhaps this new phase will be the turning point that transforms doubts into certainties and weaknesses into strength. Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe the Warriors should trade Kuminga as soon as possible? Do you think Abando could be the surprise piece that gives the team a new face? Write in the comments because your participation is essential to our community. And before you leave, drop a like to strengthen the channel and subscribe so you don't miss any updates. Here you will always find the hottest news and the most complete analyses about the NBA world and the behind the scenes of the Golden State Warriors. Turn on the notification bell and stay on top of everything firsthand. Kai returned to the court with an impressive performance, reaffirming his status as one of the most promising talents in Asian basketball. In a recent game against Kyoto, he delivered a spectacular performance, scoring 20 points, grabbing 4 rebounds, and dishing out 3 assists. These numbers not only stand out in the stats, but also showcase the constant evolution of a player who becomes more complete with each game. From the first minute, it was clear he was ready to shine. Combining height, agility, and technical skills, he dominated the paint, leaving opposing defenders without answers. His mid-range shots were sharp, a reflection of the continuous effort he dedicates to improving his game. Moreover, his court vision became evident in decisive moments, distributing assists and connecting his teammates in important plays. When the game reached its most tense moments, Kai took responsibility, showing leadership and composure. In the third quarter, he made a memorable play by dribbling past 2 defenders, converting a crucial basket, and hitting the free throw after being fouled. Plays like this not only excite the crowd, but also highlight his ability to perform under pressure, a key trait for any player with ambitions of reaching the NBA. His fans have plenty of reasons to be excited. Kai is about to hit historic milestones in the B-League. With just 76 points remaining to reach 1,000 career points, he is approaching a select group of players known for their offensive consistency. Additionally, he has already surpassed 500 rebounds, establishing himself as a dominant presence in the paint on both offense and defense. He not only protects the painted area with authority, but also creates crucial second-chance opportunities for his team. Another important achievement is nearing. He is just 4 assists away from reaching 100 assists in the league. This reinforces his ability to create opportunities and involve his teammates in strategic plays. These numbers directly reflect the impact Kai brings to the court. His combination of imposing physicality, technical ability, and tactical intelligence makes him one of the most complete players in the league. Every point, rebound, and assist brings him closer not only to records but also to the dream of playing in the NBA. His performance has caught the attention of analysts and commentators who already consider him a player capable of raising the competitive level of the B-League. Comparisons with great past big men are starting to emerge, highlighting his potential to leave a legacy in international basketball. But for Kai, more than statistics or records, the important thing is to keep evolving and making his mark in every game. Kai Sotto's future has been one of the most debated topics among fans and experts, and one of the most mentioned destinations for him in the NBA is the Golden State Warriors. The franchise's fans have already started a campaign on social media asking for his signing, believing he could be the missing piece to strengthen the team. The Warriors are known for their fast and dynamic style of play, with an emphasis on long-distance shooting and constant movement. However, one of the team's weak points has been the lack of a dominant presence in the paint, someone who can protect the defensive area, grab rebounds, and bring balance to the team. Kai fits exactly that profile. His impressive height and game-reading ability are characteristics that could transform the Warriors' performance. Moreover, his international experience, facing different styles of basketball around the world, makes him an interesting prospect for a franchise looking to refresh its roster without sacrificing competitiveness. For the Warriors, signing Kai would represent a low-risk, high-potential move. He has already demonstrated his ability to contribute both defensively and offensively, being an efficient finisher near the basket and constantly improving his mid-range shot. Combining this with his competitive mindset and dedication to improvement, he would fit well into the team's system. The fans are excited about this possibility, knowing that players with Kai's skill set and potential are rare. For many, he could be exactly what the team needs to get back to competing for the top spot in the NBA. If you like the content, leave a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything about the Warriors. Thanks and see you in the next video.